All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Great to have each and every one of you here with us today. In BG5 Live, this is where we explore the weekly influences that affect our life and our career and business through the lens of BG5. BG5 is the career and business application of the human design system. So welcome to everyone. And today we are going to be taking a look at the foundation of any business, which is sales and marketing. So we're going to explore trait 26, which is all about sales and marketing. And we're going to dive into selling and manipulating memory through education. So that's what we are going to be exploring today. Before we get started, let's say a quick hello to our panel. So let's start with Shelly. Hey, Shelly, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. Glad to be here today. This is the season for selling, so it's very appropriate that this is the timing now. And I'll be watching the Facebook site too, if anybody's got questions or comments there.
Beautiful.
Great to be here today, though.
Yes, thank you so much, Shelly. And let's go to Boris. Hey, Boris, welcome.
Hey, hello everyone. Good day, good evening to everyone. And I'm curious today again what 26 is because I don't have it. So I will listen in and get insights that I might use.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, welcome, Boris. And let's go to Chris. Hey, Chris, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Great to be here. Like Boris, I do not have the 26, but I have a lot of people with the 26 in my life. So today should be interesting. Looking forward to it.
Yes, beautiful. Welcome, Chris. And Natalie and Banu are not going to be able to join us today. So especially if you are here live in our Zoom room, we would love to hear from you. So if you have trait 26 in your design, we would love to hear your experience. And so when we're taking a look at trait 26, just so that you can see where it is in the design, and if you don't have your design, recommend downloading your design from the BG5 Business Institute, and you'll see that it is in willpower. So you can see 26 right here. It is in willpower. And so this is, if you take a look at your chart, you can take a look at, do you have trait 26 or not? So this is where to look. So let's dive into today's theme of trait 26 of sales and marketing, selling and manipulating memory through education. Now, when we take a look at 26, we can see that the life work themes. So again, with each trait, there are themes, especially if you are born during this week. You may have one of these life work themes. It may be the life work theme of rulership. It may be the life work theme of the trickster, or it may be the life work theme of confrontation. And we are still taking a look at purpose fulfilled through transformation. So if you are born during this time, there is an element of how you fulfill your purpose is ultimately by transforming yourself, by transforming others as well. So it's all about transformation. So when we think about sales and marketing ultimately is about transformation, because when you sell something or when you buy something, right, it's transforming your life in one way or another, whether it be a product or a service. So when we take a look at trait 26, sales and marketing, this is the taming the power of the great. Again, it's connected to willpower, which also represents the ego. So it's also the egoist. This is about being the best. And this is also the maximization of the power of memory applied to the nurturing of continuity. Now, we've been talking a lot about continuity from the very beginning and it's part of what we're experiencing right now is what is the continuity as we transition from the era of planning into the era of the individual. And so this is a tribal trait. So it really is how, in a sense, do you manipulate, if you will, the memory of the tribe for the good of the tribe so that we can survive moving forward into the future. And it's grounded by trait 45. Now, 45 is the tribal leader, and it is about gathering people together. It is about education. So it is the natural and generally beneficial attraction to like forces. And if you take a look at most of the people in leadership, a lot of people in leadership have come from the sales and marketing side of the business, because ultimately, it's selling people on the idea, on the vision, on where the company is moving forward to. And often the 45 is in essence the tribal leader that speaks for the voice of the tribe and also is there to inspire the tribe. And often inspiring the tribe is also, in a sense, being able to manipulate memory so we can overcome the fears of the past. So when we take a look at trait 26, sales and marketing and business, again, is key, because if you don't sell, if you don't market your product or service, you don't have a business, right? So if we take a look at even through design, we can see that the majority of energy and resources go towards marketing and sales. So especially if you do have trait 26 in your design, you can be a natural salesperson with the strength and the will to support the tribe. Now, one of the things about the tribal traits is that it has to be for the good of the tribe for it to operate correctly. If you're doing it in a very selfish way, it actually does not operate correctly. So this is really the sales and marketing for the good of the tribe. And this is potentially making people's lives better through the talent of being able to sell an idea, a product, or a service. Now, sales has often gotten a bad rap, but if you've ever been to a store that you've had a really great salesperson that really walks you through and doesn't pressure you, that really gives you the answers that you're looking for and guides you in the right way to get the product or service that you actually need, you greatly appreciate that salesperson. Now, it can also be very manipulative on the other side, right? So there is both the positive and the negative side of sales and marketing. But what I want you to consider here as we're looking at this is, again, the positive side of the sales and marketing, that it is absolutely essential in any business to be able to sell, to be able to market. And when you're doing it correctly for the good of the tribe or for the good of the individual, it makes their life better. And this is the maximization of the power of memory applied to the nurturing of continuity. We took a look at this at the very beginning. This is, in a sense, not only selling a product or service, but it's also selling an idea. It's selling an inspiration. It is selling getting everybody on the same page, gathering people together and moving them in the right direction. This is also the taming of the power of the great, the egoist, as we took a look at. Fools are liars and prophets too, right? So again, it has two very distinct sides to sales. Again, it can be very manipulative, but at the same time, it can also be very powerful and also very much needed as well. And especially in having this trait, a strong ego that is able to withstand rejection. When you have trait 26, when you are in sales and marketing, you have to accept a lot of no's in order to finally get that yes. And so it requires ego. It requires that strength of ego that no matter how many no's you get, you still move forward. And it's waiting to be recognized. So it is a trait that needs to be recognized and invited. So waiting to be recognized and only make promises that you can keep allows you to maintain your influence over others. Now, again, this is where, it can be on one side very manipulative and there can be liars, but when you really sell for the good of the individual, for the good of the tribe to influence others, and you only make promises that you can actually keep, again, this is where the power of the 26 comes into play. Now, I have the 26. Shelley, you have the strength of the transmitter. So you have both the 44 and the 26. So we can see that the 44 is the harmonic trait that creates the strength of the transmitter. The transmitter is the creative art of enterprise. So let's start with Shelley, because I would love to hear how this strength operates for you.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. And I was just realizing this is my half birthday right now. So I
Ah,
have the life work of the 45 grounded by the 26. So my birthday's June 10th, so 6 months from where we are now. So this makes great sense. And my father had this opposite. He was the 2643. His birthday's December 15th. So it's interesting just to see how that works out. Yes, this has been a really great strength for me that I didn't realize I naturally did. But throughout my life, my first jobs were in retail sales, and I often did quite well because I would never rush or push anybody into anything. I would wait and let them browse around and have them come to me when they were ready, and then I would help them find what they were looking for. And I had a lot of my colleagues say, "How did you do that? Your sales are so great." And I was like, I just helped them get what they wanted. And something I learned along the way is that the word sell is from the Norwegian verb selge, which means to serve. And if you think about sales in that way, you're really here to serve the other person or the tribe or the group to make sure that people are getting what they need, not what you want them to have or what you need to sell in order to make a target of some sort. So looking at sales in that regard, I've that's worked really well for me in the past, just listening to what people want, being available, waiting till I'm approached instead of approaching them, and then helping transmit the message of what it is they need to hear. I've also used this a lot in my life working in a large organization. In the large group, I was always in a position of needing to sell or transmit information about a new system we were putting in place. A lot of it was the 45 education and information, but also transmitting the information in a way that the people who are going to be affected by the change can actually wrap their heads around it and get used to it and see where it's meeting their needs or meeting the needs of the larger organization. Again, a lot of listening, answering questions, providing information and feedback. But that transmitter is really all about, remembering the past. This is how we've done it in the past. This hasn't been working, and this is where we're going in the future. That sort of messaging has been a big part of work that I've done throughout my career. And I really enjoy it. It's very creative and really as long as that viewpoint of we're doing what's best for the organization and how do we help everybody through this, that's how I've utilized it in the past.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Shelley. And I would love to invite Lorraine, because I know, Lorraine, you also have the 2644 as well. You also have the strength of the transmitter. And I would love to hear from you as well, as far as your experience and how that has shown up for you.
Hello, everybody. Yes, this is a very interesting one. What's coming up for me right now is I remember always getting what I wanted from my parents. So that was the first reflection going back, and sometimes it not being healthy, right? When you're pushing for your own agenda. And my father would always have this, here she goes again. And how I would present those ideas, but I always got what I wanted because I'm an initiator, for the most part. But throughout my career, what I found very interesting in doing this work and becoming more aware of this as being one of my conscious strengths as an initiator is that every role that I've ever had was in sales and marketing and education. And I think that no matter what position I put myself in, it was either both or one or the other. And I come from the beauty industry, and all the roles I've had were in marketing and sales and educating. I remember my biggest most joyful experience was being an independent for a large hair brand manufacturer, which was a global positioning. And I was invited to travel the world doing convention shows, educating and selling and marketing the product that we were working in. But what I find interesting is that it has to fulfill the need of a tribe, and I have to be passionate about it in order to do it. So it's not something that I can turn on or, you know, not do. But because I have the 1222, I'm a passionate individual. So in order for that to work properly for me, I have to believe in what I'm selling to the tribe. I have to wholeheartedly have passion for the purpose and for the direction that I'm moving a tribe in. And we're talking about convention shows of 50,000 people circulating through them. So it had to have purpose for me for the greater good. If not, it wasn't something that I was interested in or did naturally. So it was something that I find interesting. Entrepreneurship. I've started several businesses in my career on my own, and sales and marketing always came somewhat easy in explaining the vision. I have noticed though that when it is like this go around, when it is when I don't have a clear vision of the tribe, it's kind of hard to communicate or transmit what it is I'm doing. I kind of need a tribe to kind of learn how to manipulate the memory of what the general status quo is, if you will, what those preconceived notions are, and understand the community in order for me to actually offer a solution or manipulate the memory of the tribe for the greater good. So that's how I've come to understand how the mechanics work for me at this time of my awareness, and leaning more into this transmitter quality and having it part of my life work theme of rulership, and holding passion for it and purpose for the continuity of evolution is something that I'm excited to continue exploring. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Lorraine. And both you and Shelley have this part as part of your life work theme, the life work theme of rulership.
Yes.
Are really powerful. Yes. And Chris, I know that you you have a lot of people in your life that have 26. I'm curious how you've seen it and how it's shown up for you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing and the invitation to speak. And really for me, this particular trait is impossible for me to even attempt in my design because I don't have that. I do have the 45, which is what's grounding the 26 of sales and marketing. So I can really see who can sell the people on the vision of the team that I can support. And then I come in with training and education to kind of underscore those messages. But it's really not for me to sell any messaging on the team, which leads me to the idea that, you know, I see this trait as communication that greases the wheels to get people to adopt something. So it's really a communication trait. And it's interesting, it's not in the communication and action area, but it's, I mean, if you listen to Lorraine and you listen to Shelley, there is a finesse to the way that they speak and how they frame things. And I know, Karen, I think you even have this trait, and that's really true for me with you as well, that there is this ability to, you know, to take the idea, set the right tone, get the right appeal, sell the right benefits, manipulate the memory of what maybe you knew before, and bring you into the present with what the agenda is now. And I don't think that that's necessarily bad. I think that what it really can do is it can move people forward in their own evolution, and it can really help them take their skills, their tribal support to the next level. It's also, for me, the other side of it is spin doctoring, and it can have that quality. And one of the things I love about BG5 is really that, you know, so many people out there in the sales industry will downplay sales as, you know, we need to be, you know, intentional, and we need to be very peaceful in our profit selling and that sort of thing. But BG5 really brings to the forefront that it is finesse, it is ego, there is manipulation, persuasion, and influence, but it doesn't have to be used for, you know, the negative aspects of the tribe. When I witness other people who have the transmitter, what's really interesting to me is they know how to gauge where people are at in the conversation, like in the sales process. how committed they are and how they can actually manage the conversation to not lose people in that sales process, but still bring out the essential qualities. I see Shelley do this all the time when we communicate, and be able to kind of gauge where people are at in, the adoption process or in the sales process. So masterful in her memory. You could ask her something that went on a few months ago, and boom, she has it right there ready for you to learn from. The other thing I've seen that somebody who has this transmitter strength is that they can really turn other people's desires and insecurities and fears and turn them into opportunities. And there is this reciprocity that's sort of built into this particular trait. It's fascinating to me because I don't have it. In teams, I've seen leaders who have this sell the teams on the teamwork. And that is really a brilliant gift of sales and marketing, and actually the transmitter strength as well. And even selling oneself on the work that they have to do. So they sell themselves first before they sell it to other people so that they're bought in. Such an amazing capacity to be able to do that. It just really moves me when I see that in action, because then they get to actually step into the leadership fully bought into what it is that they're selling the team on. It's a lot. And I also want to say that, they can mediate sales between people. So they're really good intermediaries of selling between groups, and that being able to negotiate the needs between 2, 3, 4 groups, that's a brilliance that I don't have. And it's really interesting to see them volley back and forth to make sure that everybody's getting, what they need for what they want and where they need to find the leverage points. I think the other thing that I would say is that is one of the things that I see, especially with my mother, who has this particular strength. She's an entrepreneur. She is also a grandmother, and she can sell the grandkids on eating their food when they don't want to, sharing their toys when they want to be selfish with them, and even supporting my brother's parenting while injecting her own sales process of what she feels they need to know. It is masterful. And what I would say that there can be, if you don't buy what they're selling, there can be this sort of passive aggressive nature that I've noticed with it, of like, well, I may not get you this time, but I'm going to figure out what I need to say to move you along anyway. And the last thing I'll say, one of the things I noticed is that because this is in the willpower center, I've seen my mother push too hard at her on her entrepreneurial sales work and teaching, and wear herself out to the point where there are days or sometimes even weeks that she can't even get motivated to do the work. So it's really, I think, important that they do figure out that ebb and flow. So that's what I'll share for now. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant, Chris. Brilliant. I love what you shared. And the last point, again, anything in the willpower, you do need to have that balance between work and rest. And you could probably, especially if you have the transmitter, you can often get more done in a shorter period of time than most people can, but then you also need to rest on the other side of that as well. And I do have the trait 26, and I have it in an undefined willpower. So this is also part of my profit potential. So profit potential is something that we also teach through the BG5 Business Institute. So this is about selling being the best. Like you are the best if you're one of us. You are the best if you're studying BG5. It's typically how I end up selling BG5 as well. It really is, representing the best of what you can do in order to move forward and transition into the era of the individual. I've had some people say, "Oh, you keep selling things. Why do you?" And I don't do it on purpose. When I'm really moved, and I think Lorraine, you spoke to this too. It has to be something that I'm deeply passionate about, something that I really love. If it's not, I can't sell it. If it's something that I'm passionate about, I naturally do. And again, this is one of the reasons why I love BG5. This is something that I can sell a day and night, because I think it is that powerful. Yeah, so thank you so much, Chris. And we'll go to Boris and then we'll go to Rebecca. So Boris, again, you don't have this trait in your design, and based on what people have shared and what you've been experienced, I'd love to hear your take on trait 26.
Thank you, Karen. It's just listening to it is kind of, I don't like it. It's just like it's not connecting me. It's kind of offsetting me. It's pushing me off. It's my completely undefined willpower. And I'm allergic to sales, actually. It's either for selling stuff myself or stuff being sold to me. Whenever I see a salesperson, I run away, kind of. Or I let them talk. And my design is as well that I have a very sensitive hearing, and I immediately spot the truth in it or not. So I can immediately sense if this person is trying to sell me something just for selling it, or if there is something good behind. It's good for me, actually. That, like what you said before, and Shelley said before, here to serve the other person. I think that is what I sense. Is this person selling me something here to serve me, or is it just for the matter of sales? And that is, it's it, like Chris mentioned, it's something I cannot relate to. It's if I want to do sales for myself, it's just like it doesn't come. And then I have an undefined as well communication and action. So there is a disconnect as well to my throat to bring it out. I'm here to react, and I don't have this creative strength. I don't have something to be recognized in there, to be invited to go forward and to sell something. I love people who do it wisely, who do it authentically, who do it trustworthy. This is what I sense, and this is where I typically buy then without thinking about it. And that is then my instinctive decision making as well, like instinctive gut decision. Boom, yeah, I buy with you. No matter what the price is, no matter how much it costs, what is included or not, what extras I get or not, I don't care at the end. I want to hear the truth and authenticity. I think this is what I sense and hear out of it. If this like 26 and 2644, if this is done correctly, I would buy from the person. I think that's what I want to mention.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Boris. I love your reaction to it as well, because a lot of people do have that reaction to sales and marketing. People don't like being sold or have a wall up of being sold. And so I'm really glad that you spoke to that as well, because again, it really speaks to both sides in having it and it happening natural, having it and using it in a very manipulative way that's not so good, etc. So yeah, thank you so much, Boris. And yes, Rebecca.
So I have the strength of 2644, but I've never, I think I learned there's so much societal pressure that sales are bad, that salesmen are, all used car salesmen is I think the image I have. So I've never been that. But what I realize is I work, so I'm a nurse, but I also am an acupuncturist. But when in my nursing career, people are consumers when they are they might not be willing consumers, but they end up being consumers once they're in the hospital. And I didn't realize, I think one of the greatest strengths that I have as a nurse is that I take very complicated ideas, medical jargon, and distill it down into simple terms. Because people cannot, it's very hard to hear somebody talk to you from a point of authority when they're standing over you. You're vulnerable, you're in a bed, you're in a hospital gown, you're sick, and you don't know what's going on. And you just need like a simple, you need it to be as simple as possible. So that's, I think, how I use this is, diffusing down complicated ideas. And then also in my practice, I do all kinds, I've been studying stuff forever. So it's kind of like when somebody comes or whenever I hear somebody's medical stuff, I have to go, I wonder what would be best applied, because there's just a plethora of them. But anyway, so that's how that works for me.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant, brilliant example, Rebecca. You know, and also it's interesting to see how it's used in different businesses, right? Whether it be the beauty industry or the healthcare industry. And I think that was a beautiful example, Rebecca, of how this gets used in you know, all kinds of different arenas. This is, like I said, what business is about. Beautiful. I would love to hear if there's anyone else in our Zoom room or anything else, Shelley or Chris or even Lorraine, that you have that you want to add. I would love to hear some more stories about Trait to 26 and sales and marketing in business.
I think I love what Rebecca just shared because there is a pragmatism to this trait. You know, there
Mm,
is a way to kind of make, you know, if you're selling or you're marketing anything, your messaging has to be succinct,
mm,
simple, and on point. It can't be complicated. It can't be superfluous. It can't be colorful and flowery and it really does have to land with people. So I really just appreciated that particular perspective from Rebecca. Really powerful, really potent. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
to add to that, Chris, you bring up too that it takes a lot to distill stuff down. That's what I find. And to what Karen and Lorraine were saying, I too have to be really passionate about what it is I'm selling and feel that it is a benefit to the person or the tribe. I literally can't do it otherwise. And I find that that's probably where I spend most of my energy is thinking of all the stuff and all the information that goes into creating that message, considering all the people that are involved and what they might need to hear. And you're correct. It is a communication strength for sure, and especially in the large organization. That's what I spent most of my time doing, was moving around from group to group within a large organization and distilling all the messages I was hearing and trying to pull the message together so that everyone's needs could be met in the process. And it takes a lot of time. It can take a lot of time to get that message distilled correctly before it feels right to send it out, that and then you play with the wording, and it can get quite intense, but it is quite a process, and it's a very creative process. So
Yeah,
thanks
beautiful.
for mentioning that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Lorraine.
Oh, I love this conversation. I completely agree with Shelley that it is a process. It's something that takes, that willpower is constantly assessing different markets, different opportunities, past, future. It is something that is very much driven by its own process, right? And what I love is that it is, the focus should be the other. The focus should be on improving something, whether it's correct for them or not. That's not the point of it. The point is that there is an alternative, right? Because it is manipulating the memory. And that process of surveying, of watching, of observing, of waiting, right? It does carry a nuance of timing, of correct timing, and really, because it must be recognized and invited. So it has to come with that element of timing, right? And it does require a lot of energy, like Chris was speaking into, in order to have it clean, have it go out with a purpose. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot to actually understand and wrap your head around that 26. I have it 3 times in my design, and it's a beautiful quality. I'm a mother of 4 as well, so I laughed at Chris's mom's example, because I definitely know how to get them to do what they want to do while honoring their individuality. So it's something that I've learned to lean into and accept and be patient with that process, because I myself, when I work on this creative endeavor, it takes me a lot of time to refine, to go back, to touch, to experiment, to figure out like a very practical way to deliver information too. It's not something that is, you know, or sometimes I guess it has in my past shown up that way.
Yeah.
Particularly when I'm in large groups, right? But when I use it intentionally, it's a little different. And I'm well aware that it is something, anybody who carries the transmitter, there is a quality that you are always selling something either to yourself or to somebody, if you have the strength of the transmitter. So becoming aware of that is also a gift, that how you communicate has a sensibility towards transmitting something. And there is great power in that recognition and awareness for yourself. So lean into that gift and use it for good. Use it for
Yeah.
good.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautifully said, Lorraine. Yes, Chris.
I'm just really wondering, from anybody who carries the 26, you know, one of the traits is, of this specific trait is that there's this, you know, you have a strong ego with the ability to withstand rejection. So I want to hear a little bit more about withstanding rejection with this particular trait and how that might show up for people who do have this.
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. Yeah, Rebecca.
Well, I think it's gotten a lot easier since I started studying BG5, because now it's kind of like, I'll make a suggestion and I'll say, or not. Because it's like, they don't have to, I'm just planting a seed. I see it more like just planting a seed. But it
Yeah.
doesn't, it's one way or not.
I love that. Thank you, Rebecca. Beautiful. And again, if there's anyone else in our Zoom room that has the trait 26 or experience with someone that has the trait 26, we'd love to hear from you as well. Yes, Shelley.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this as we're speaking, that the connection between the survival instinct and the willpower, that instinctive knowing of knowing what it is the tribe or the person needs, is part of what allows me to withstand the rejection. Because there's a deep sense of, okay, I have this instinctive knowing that this is going to be the correct thing for this person. They're maybe not able to see it just yet. So how else can I present it so that I can help them see it? That's kind of what the that's how it feels to me. Is it's like offering someone a coffee and them say, no thanks, I'm not thirsty right now. It's that sort of thing. It can roll off your back. You realize that, oh, okay, so this was just this particular way of me expressing this just didn't land for them. And so I just need to feel into my instincts a little more to figure out, okay, what have I missed? And like you said, Chris, listening and always sort of changing the wording so that I can help them see what I can see. That's really what it is. So there's some kind of determination behind that, knowing what they need, that keeps me going, that helps me withstand the rejection as well.
Yeah.
That's
And-
fascinating. And you know what you just evoked for me when you were talking, Shelley, is I think about people online when they're doing the sales process and they do this A/B testing. You know, they test one message with a small part of their audience, they test another message with a small part of their audience to see which one really lands, because there's just so much faith behind what they're selling that they know it's really great for their audience, but they don't know exactly what message is going to really land for them.
Yes, it's like that. And you really don't know until you ask. And I think part of that willpower strength of it almost feels like protection to me, that I'm not gonna, it's just my ego. I'm not, my whole soul isn't scarred if someone says no. There's a quiet strength in it that because it's for the tribe or the good of the other, that there's something that pushes me to keep going, to try again, to try something different, to try another way, to just realize it's only feedback. It's just, I'm getting feedback that this didn't land for them. So how else can I help them? How do I twist the kaleidoscope a bit so they can see it from a different perspective? And yeah, that can take so much effort and energy, and there's infinite possibilities of different ways to combine wording and information and ideas and inspiration to help people see it. And I get lost in that world sometimes because there's just so much.
You know, what's interesting about what you just shared is that it's a form of assessment. And there are many different areas in the body graph for all of us where we take in and we assess in different ways. And I love that this is really assessment about material success and what messaging is going to sell for the benefit of people. So, you know, I just am really clear, like it's a requisite of being human to be able to sell the community on change. And that's exactly what, when you said, oh, it's just feedback, it was like, oh, it took all the mystery, it took all of the manipulation out of it. It's sort of like, yeah, there is this mission, there's this change maybe, or this revolution or evolution, and it can happen, but it's really making sure that people hear what they need to hear so that they feel comfortable with that change. So it just really, really settled for me in a different way when you said that. Thank you for that.
Wow. Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate your feedback too.
Yeah. And I really appreciate you asking that question, Chris, as well, because I hadn't really thought about it or looked at it for myself either, also in having the 26. And I think kind of going along with what Shelley just said, there is an element that if there is something that I'm very passionate about, that I really do feel like that it is going to be of benefit either to the individual or the tribe, I sell it without thinking about selling. Like it's not, I don't consciously feel like I'm a salesperson, even though it's conscious in my design. It's more of like this, I know that this is going to make a difference. And I'm going to just kind of repeat it because I know that it's going to make a difference. And whether you do it now or whether you do it later or whether you don't do it at all, when the timing's right, like I said, I end up selling things without even really being aware of it. Now, this is in an undefined willpower, so I do have a tendency to make promises that I can't keep. So I have to be careful of that because I get so excited and I can see the big vision and I see what the vision is, even though I may not have all of the pieces. And then I get people excited, and then I'm like, I don't know if I can fulfill on all of this. So that's I think part of the difference between having it defined, especially with the strength of the transmitter, and then having it as a trait in a function that's undefined. So it is just a dormant potential until I connect up with other people. So so thank you for asking that question, Chris, because it really had me think about things in a very different way. And yes, it is a process, but it's interesting with Shelley and Lorraine. I don't think of it so much as a process, and I think it's because it's not a consistent strength. So I either have it or I don't have it. When I'm connected to the right people, you know, it comes out, and when I'm not, I don't. And so it's very interesting to see the difference between having the transmitter and only having trait 26 as well. So very fascinating. Thank you so much for that question, Chris. I love it.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because in the chat, I think Lana was asking about having that particular trait in the undefined willpower. So I love that you just answered that. And especially if it's unconscious, I think the thing to be aware of is that it is more, it can show up more physical in terms of the messaging it's trying to evoke in other people. So there's a little discussion that happened there. And Karen, in certification, you've sold us on messaging throughout the entire course. And the one message that I will amplify and always put in the background is keep your delivery simple. Don't overwhelm your clients. And I will tell you, it is, you literally have sold me on that messaging. So I think that's also really brilliant. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Chris. I love it. Beautiful. Anyone else in our Zoom room? Again, I would love to if you have the trait, if you have experience with someone with the trait, you have someone who has the strength of the transmitter in your life, again, we would love to hear from you. And yes, Shelley.
Oh, the more you speak, Chris, the more things come to mind. This really is about messaging. It's about just getting clear messaging out. And like Karen said, she just does that automatically without thinking. I think I do as well. And it really is just about getting messaging clear so that people understand what it is you're trying to transmit. Like, this is the transmitter. We're really transmitting a message for the tribe, for the benefit of the tribe or the person. So that just popped to mind. And
Yeah.
I want to amplify something in the chat, and that is, Vicky shared that her unconscious 26 feels like a BS detector. And it's funny that she says that, because I feel that exactly with my mother as well, who has the unconscious 26. Like, you can't really pull a fast one on her. She's already clued in, and she knows, and no matter what gets presented, she can see through the BS and what the real messaging is, or what the real intention is. I find that so fascinating, and sometimes it blindsides me because I don't have this, and it takes me a while, and then I'm in the thick of it, and then I figure it out. Oh, that's what they were doing. So, but for her, she's very quick. So I love that message in there for Vicky. I just wanted to call that out for the people watching this.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. I'll jump on that again too, because that's so funny that you say that. I saw Vicky's and I didn't quite get it until you said that. And then I went, oh, wait a minute. I do that all the time. I think one of the things of having the 26 is that we know what selling looks like. We know what it sounds like, what it feels like, and we can tell when somebody is BSing us, somebody who's not telling us the real truth or the real stuff. It's easy to call them on it. I do that with my grandkids all the time. They're always trying to sell me some story. And I feel bad because I won't go along with it. I call them on it. So, and it's funny, my husband has the 44, and we've often gone into sales presentations just for the freebies they give away, just to sit through the process, because we know what the process is like, and we don't buy at any of the stages. We just listen the whole way through. And so it's kind of fun to and it takes a lot of willpower to do that, to go through a whole process and not be sold. So it's sometimes, occasionally, usually we avoid salespeople, but occasionally we'll find something that we want to hear about, and we know we're not going to buy, or we intend to walk away and think about it. And just to go through that whole process with somebody who's really trying to sell you is quite can be quite overwhelming. So I'm glad I have my willpower to find so that I could actually tolerate that.
I'm giggling because we do the same thing. It's hilarious. Yes, Boris.
It's just so funny to listen to all of you and how excited you get about selling and transmitting and things like that. And when you just mentioned like the family, and I just looked up the chart of our oldest son. He was selling us everything and anything every day, and he has 26. Conscious and unconscious. Now I'm like, this is where it comes from. And what I wanted to say is, because I'm completely open, and in the meantime, that is my kind of BS detector, because I have all these open antennas to what comes in, and might trigger my open willpower. In the past, anybody could sell me anything without like me intervening, because I felt like, he knows better, so I better buy. So that was then the open willpower talking, like, I have no clue, but he is right or she is right, so I buy. And later on, I regretted it massively and quite often. I think this is the more or less the black sheeps, I would call them, of the people selling, really, that they use these manipulating techniques. And the willpower function is one of the open functions where most of the people have it actually open. And it's so easy to like manipulate people there with their willpower, buy to get better and things like that, feel better afterwards. And this is, I think, why I'm so reluctant and so massively peed off that I just can't stand it. It's so untrue. And I think this is when listening to Shelley, and it comes natural when she's selling. It's just like in a flow, and it's easy, and I don't see that as selling. It's kind of this nice background noise. Where do I sign for your course? Where can I get your reading? It's so awesome. And this is, I think, the subtle difference that I start realizing now with my completely open willpower function, that this is, I think, the difference and how I can observe it. And yeah, I don't have anything defined in there. I think that is possibly how people with the unconscious 26 might feel like. They have a kind of a sensation that might come. That is as well a kind of BS detector. So yeah, it's my 5 cents with my completely open 2644 and willpower.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Boris. I just had an interesting thought. I don't know what this means, but I'm wondering if people who try to manipulate in sales actually don't have the 26 and are trying to, it's more of something that is conditioned and it's what they're trying to sell versus someone who actually does have that trait or does have the strength of the transmitter, where it really is about selling to the tribe to be of service, as Shelley said at the very beginning. So I don't know if that's true or not, but just something interesting to ponder. Yes, Rebecca.
I had that exact same thought. I was thinking if you feel like you're being manipulated, it could be from a not self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And yes, Lorraine.
For the transit that we are in, also supported by the grounding in 45 of education, I think that part is pretty interesting too. In my particular case, it does come across through an educational path of explaining something in a particular way that improves, I guess my strategy for selling something, right? It has to be informative. It has to be complete in an educated way. It just presents better that way for me. And I can catch it when I am in passenger consciousness on how I constantly I feel like I'm teaching or explaining something, but I understand that it is part of that sales and marketing, right? Ability of getting something across that might benefit the other. But the flavoring of the 45, the grounding of the 45 is something that I appreciate. As a consumer myself, when I do pick things, like we're all saying, we can move in ways that we understand what's a good, selling opportunity or not, or a good salesperson or a good customer service or whatever it is. For me, it always has to have principles and values that match my own, and also has to be something that's going to improve the quality of my life. So I'm very discerning on even from where I purchase or what I do or how I educate myself. So it's interesting how it's just part of everything that you do in that sense, right?
Yep.
But the educating part is something that's beautiful because it's teaching a bigger message, right? It's teaching something that may be of value to somebody else, and handling the rejection part from what Chris was saying is, I think, as being a defined willpower, I can handle somebody else's big ego. I can handle when somebody is not really vibing with what I have to sell. It's all right. It's not for everybody, right? It's not for everybody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So I don't think that I take those things deeply personal, but also add to what Shelley says, you just find a different approach or a different way. Maybe that wasn't the right audience, because again, there is a certain timing that comes along with this, that when done correctly, it'll always land correctly for who it's meant to land for, right?
Yeah.
And to be pushy with it. But I really enjoyed this conversation, guys. Of really like seeing the edges of how it can present for multiple people, including in the chat when Lana was saying it's unconscious for her and how could it show up. It's like, it's beautiful to see the variety of the different ways that it can, and why it's so important for humanity to have transmitters and people with the 26 that have great hearts, that are filled with passion and purpose to help assist, right, into something that's beneficial, that's healthy, that's right. I think that's really, that's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful quality. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lorraine. This is an amazing conversation. We could probably continue this on for hours. I hope this has been enriching for each and every one of you that are here. And just to highlight again what Lorraine just said, again, it's grounded by education. So oftentimes education in and of itself is a way of being able to sell your idea, your product, your service, educating them on how it works and educating people on what the thought process is or where we go. And speaking of sales, I would love to invite you to the Human Design Festival. It is taking place at the end of January, January 7th, 17th through the 22nd. You can attend either online or in person. And both Natalie and I are presenting. We would love to have you be a part of it. Natalie's going to do an in-person experiment on how BG5 and OC16 actually works. I'm going to be speaking about how to profit by being you in the shifting landscape of career and business. And there are again, 35 plus speakers over 6 days and 13 workshops. So would love to have you join us. It's going to be really, really fun. And if you want to be educated as well in this information, we have lots of courses that are starting in January. You can see that we have the BG5 foundation course, which is the place to start. Boris is going to be assisting me, and so is Lorraine I also have Sonia as well. So I have 3 amazing assistants. So this is going to take your education to a whole deeper level. So you can see we'll be teaching it in English in January. Also, Michael Brown will be teaching it in March. Christina will be teaching it in Italian starting in January. Sachika will be teaching it in Japanese in January. Alina will be teaching it in Romanian, and Rebecca will be teaching it in Chinese. So one of the things I love about BG5, it is global. And you can see just in the foundation course that we have the ability also to teach it in many different languages. So hopefully you will join us in the BG5 foundation course. If you've already done the foundation course, Tuck is going to be teaching the BG5 certification starting in January. And then I'm going to also be teaching OC16. So if you've already gone through the certification course, I'm going to be teaching the OC16 certification in January as well. So would love to have you join us. And if you want a little bit more insight to know if this is correct for you or not, again, you can sign up for a strategy session. I think it's brilliant because you also get a free report. Well, not a free report, it's $5, but you get a coupon, if you will, to be able to purchase the report. And then you also get a one-on-one with one of our instructors as well. So really invite you to join us. And thank you. This has been an amazing discussion. Next week, we're going to be taking a look at ideas. So we're going to be taking a look at trait 11, ideas that are cautiously shared is what we're going to be taking a look at next week. We are going to take a 2-week break over the holidays since Tuesday is the day after Christmas and the day after New Year. So we are going to be taking a 2-week break. And then we will, after next week, and then we will start up again in January. So thank you. For all of you who are here in our Zoom room, if you feel comfortable, we would love to see you on camera as well. So if you are here live, and we have quite a few of you here live in our Zoom room, if you feel comfortable putting on your camera, we would love to see you as we sign off. So please turn on your camera if you have that option and you feel comfortable being on camera, so we can all say goodbye together. So thank you, everyone. It's been an amazing discussion. And if you want to unmute yourself and say goodbye, we will sign off for today and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
No, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.